Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here today for the BlueCallom partner meeting. We have it usually once every quarter, giving some updates on BlueCallom and also introducing partnership opportunities. I have here with me Christian V. You all know him as well, VP Products at BlueCallom. Background in chemistry and was Senior Director of Innovation at Johnson & Johnson. And now helping us with the innovation at BlueCallom. I realized I didn't put a introduction slide about BlueCallom. You all know pretty much, but maybe just to sum up. So we're really empowering enterprises through AI-driven workflow intelligence and focusing to transform their workflows using AI. Bringing intelligence into the processes, reducing complexity, and leaving as a result of productivity. So today on the agenda, we have introduction to partnering, partner profiles, partner roles as well, and benefits for you, and also the business model. And then from Christian's side, a little bit of an update on new solutions, products, and also general overview of BlueCallom. So as we look at the evolving AI landscape, it's pretty clear it's a huge industry growing extremely fast. And I believe the one thing to know is, the value comes not just from the technology itself, but how effectively, it's put into action. And the potential is just huge, especially because also so many companies are still running on outdated systems and disconnected processes. And even in well-funded enterprises, big enterprises, we often see a surprising lack of integration, automation, and even just digitalization. And it just creates huge inefficiencies, but I guess also an opportunity for all of us. And the organizations, they need to evolve. They know they need to evolve, but they're just unsure how to do it. And they're looking for someone who can help them make sense of AI and actually implement it in a way that drives results. And that's where we come in together. So we'll talk about the role, types of partnerships, and also target customers. Maybe before we go into that, I wanted to touch upon the partner profile, because we've been discussing it with Axel, and we just wanted to share it with you so that it's clear for both sides. So for us, like when we talk about partners, we're really looking for partners with core qualities that enable strong and long-term collaboration, especially when also looking to work with more complex, larger clients. So it starts with internal setup and resources to drive a project from the start to finish, so the implementation process. So it doesn't necessarily mean to be a huge organization, but it does mean having the right people in place and being able to mobilize a small team when needed. So handle the business side, the technical side, and also the customer relationship on an ongoing basis. And just as important is also the working in an enterprise environment. So if you've, it's beneficial if you've navigated already in delivery processes and dealt with IT departments before. It just means that you understand the expectations, the timelines, and also potential roadblocks or challenges. And the last thing is scalability. So we want to work with partners who can grow with us, like taking on one project at a time without just making, taking one more than one project. And we'll, of course, always absolutely support you where we can. This is a big thing, but we just want to say, resources should be on both sides sufficient. So your role as partners, it's exciting space. It's being core part of businesses, and companies are looking for AI solutions. They might have experimented with AI tools, but most of them lack really a clear strategy. And in many cases as well, they're overwhelmed by the complexity of the adoption, how to integrate it, and also how to align it with existing processes. And effectively, they're looking for guidance, and that's where also partners come in, because you understand your clients, the industries, you know your clients the best. And you can show them what's possible, inspire them, and make them help them make AI work for their specific need. And we're here to provide the technology and the support. And this is also where you go beyond reselling a product. So it's really what makes the biggest impact is the ability to guide the customers into a new way of thinking as well. So helping them see and experience the potential of AI and these AI solutions in their own world and industry. Regarding partner types, so depending on your expertise, there are different ways to collaborate with us. Some of you may focus more on the consulting and training, while others, more involved in developing and refining the solutions. So on one side, we have the implementation partners. So these are experts basically bring the solutions to life in the customer's organization. You consult the clients, you lead the implementation, perhaps workshops, and guide them through the adoption process, creating a confident rollout for them, confident rollout experience for them as a user. Then we also have the development partners who focus more on building the prompts, agents, and complete solutions. So working hands-on on our development platform, testing the assets, and then taking them to market on our asset management platform, Agentic Blue. So either through your own means channels, or also together with implementation partners. So then partners can, of course, work together. And I say one or the other, but of course, some of you have all the skills. So it's really, leveraging your expertise to make it a smooth process for the end customer. For target audience, so what we've noticed, obviously not every company is ready for AI. So it's important to focus on those who are maybe at the right stage, or, you will sense it pretty quickly. And as I said before, many businesses are already looking for solutions. They're testing, experimenting, maybe even already running some pilots. And while others may still be figuring out what even AI means for them, which is, totally okay. We've seen good results with companies above 250 employees, and more also moving to 500 to 5,000 employees, because these are also the companies that want to scale and have processes to optimize, and also feel maybe more pressure to innovate, because for some of them it really comes down to survival to really implement AI. And yeah, your role is really to connect the dots between both their ambition and the technology, and show how it can, support strategic goals. And of course, this is our target audience, and you have yours. This is just a recommendation from us, basically. Then we have some business-related benefits. So I'm going to go not too deep into this, because also Christian will talk a little bit more on it. So we offer free training and support Yesterday, for example, we had the first training session. We have 2 more next Wednesday and the Wednesday after. So really training you and supporting you any way we can. One thing that's very important for us is the non-compete clause. So we never compete with our partners for customers. So this is also contractually agreed. Yeah, we are very strong on that. We have joint marketing engagements, so social media, joint events. For example, we're going to Düsseldorf end of May. Some of our partners may be joining us. So all these activities to make a strong presence together. And then we also have dedicated project support. So of course, when you begin a project with a client, you will have some people from our team also helping out there. Then on the technology side, so we have the GPT Blue platform, so the development system which is especially interesting for development partners wanting to develop their own solutions. Then we have our business model. So we want to move away from the classical SaaS monthly membership per employee per month. So we're really using a pay-per-use model where it's when you let the solutions run, that's where the cost comes basically. Then we have our ready-to-use, ready-to-implement enterprise workflow intelligence solutions. So this is also always a relief for end customers when they hear, oh, no coding needed. It's just ready to be implemented. Some customization is almost always needed, but this is not a big coding coding thing. Then we have human intelligence augmentation. So in our solutions, the customer can then also decide at which point they would like to have some human interaction points. So the solution can run autonomously, but there's just some points where, of course, the human intent is always needed and where we don't want to change that. Then contribution values, it's always interesting to know. We all have to consider when executing a solution the work of the development cost of every prompt, but then also, of course, the chosen LLM and the hosting system, and also the platform for the base calculation. So the way it works, if a partner develops their own solution on our platform and implements it, they keep most, so 80%, and we would just take 20% for the running costs.
I think, Jara, it's important to mention in this context that the prices people are seeing here are subject to change as the models become more efficient, faster, and therefore less costly. So this is just an indication, an example of the past. These change permanently.
Yeah. The graph on the right-hand side, it's just an example. Thank you, Christian. Yeah. And when it's implementing our solution, we just switch it around. So it's 20% commission. So we work with commission. And as I mentioned, of course, sales support. So I'll show you after as well the training phase and the activation program we have. After the training phase, we enter the activation program and start with sales and marketing. And this is where we really, push the joint sales calls, joint engagements, also lead generation. So we do lead sharing, which also happens on the GPT Blue platform. And we also have opportunity registration. So when you have a lead, you can register that opportunity and it's yours. So not any other partner can then take it, basically. And of course, the non-compete clause. And then marketing. So we support you anywhere we can. We want to make it very easy for you. So giving you materials, one pagers for the solutions, use cases, webinars like these, for example, that we can, host together, and co-branded content as well, so social media posts and so on. So really having a strong presence together. And featuring your success stories, also having badges, and this little bit gamification on GPT Blue. If your users are ready, if you are under GPT Blue 100, you'll have the 100 badge, and then you have the 1000 badge, and you'll also have the BlueCallom partner badge, which you can share as well. And of course, the training sessions. So as, for example, this partner meeting as well. So of course, the first part is more about exploring and sharing how partnership would work with BlueCallom, but then also from learning from Christian a bit of updates about new products and so on. So this is just how some marketing materials would look like for the AI solutions. And we also have a partner brochure, which I can share with you. So this was I was mentioning for the partner trainings. So we had one yesterday, we have one next Wednesday, and then the Wednesday after that. So yesterday we had a great session about, just AI foundation and platform training, how it works, going also into the platform, sharing the most important features. Then next week, we really go deep into the products with Christian as well, making also a live demo of probably Transform, as it's the most important, or the most we've seen with customers that Transform is just very widely applicable. And then we have sales and support to close the loop, where Yannick, our AI success manager, will join us and share a little bit about his success stories with customers, giving guidance, how to approach clients, and so on. And then you see the AI Bootcamp is a detached. It's because, so this one is really for the developers. It's very technical training, how to build solutions. And then having done these trainings, we move into the activation phase. So marketing, sharing our partnership, and then also moving into the sales activation, conducting joint sales calls. And then, of course, also having a feedback session to see how it went, what can be improved, and then also to keep moving forward. So now I pass it on to Christian to talk about the solutions.
Do I share the slides from my desk, Chiara?
I have it here on mine, but...
Okay, then we keep it as such. And just as we are handing over, are there any questions at this moment for Chiara? I see Claude. No. Okay, perfect. So let's have a quick look at the platform and how this workflow solution setting looks like for an enterprise scope. On the next slide, you can see the way everything was built based on our assumptions and definitions. So first of all, building solutions cannot be developed with conventional software. So it's not an ERP or CRM. It's a new world which we are entering here with BlueCallom. And already Chiara was highlighting that it's very low code, close to no code. Only when we talk about connectivity to different legacy systems in our partners' environments, we have to code on the APIs to make the connections possible. From a focus perspective, we call it ICP. It's about intelligent process design, as we see very often, especially with Transform, Compete, that the existing processes grew and outdated themselves as the environment they were invented for or introduced for have changed. The same is true with the complexity piece. To fix certain processes, we put little patches on it and hope that the fixes are lasting. And I don't know who of you has worked in larger corporations. Many of these fixes are thought to be temporary, but as they establish, they become permanent solutions, and therefore complexity is increasing. The same is true when it comes to regulatory compliance challenges. We are building and building on top of originally very smart concerns, more complex systems, and also as corporations are growing, the accountability of a single person becomes less and less, and everybody tries to shift things to the process, to a overarching infrastructure, and therefore we are creating complexity. So with our focus, we want to reduce that complexity as well as we move into the solution finding. And then, of course, as a result, we will gain significant productivity. Once, of course, already through the usage of the AI, but then also how we redesign and help companies redesign their environment. So in that respect, it's a holistic offering we want to bring to the market. I think with our multi-tenant cloud platform, we have a backbone from a previous solution Axel and the team developed for another company he successfully had launched. And we strongly believe that we are here ahead of the competition, having that backbone already built into our solution finding. And then, of course, with the expertise of the team, engineering, as well as having built companies, we are able to provide some consulting support, be really focused on implementation and execution, and then, of course, help you to customize as well. And you will see one of the new products, the Agent Factory, is really aiming at that piece that you can provide customized solutions for your customers as we are able to turn around the agent creation in a very high speed. Taking all these bits and pieces into one, we talk about our BlueCallom Agentic AI framework. So this is really the one place to go when you are talking about managing the digital AI assets in a company. The topic we're not alluding to today is definitely the shadow AI challenge. Just an example that was publicly shared by my previous employer, Johnson & Johnson. They were allowing people for the last 2 years to really engage broadly into identifying how AI can improve the business, but they also saw that they have no control anymore. Who is using which tool, how often, for what purpose, and they decided to stop that freedom to make sure that they get control back on how people are using AI. And at the same time, of course, they want to identify the low-hanging fruits where AI can create value for the company. And they are now trying to get the funnel in place to come to a solution that will be a company-based solution. I mean, we have seen that also in the manufacturing space. When you have multiple ERP systems, when you have legacy systems, when you have not the same version, especially in large corporations, you're asking for trouble. You don't have transparency, how your manufacturing is going. You have inconsistent data, and decision-making is very challenging. So in that respect, with all these learnings, we strongly believe to have a single platform to execute on your AI is what will be needed as we move forward. And I think BlueCallom is really on the forefront to deliver that. Not quite this fast, yeah. Thank you. And I think the important piece here is also, Chiara mentioned it, to have an open framework for independent developers. So we don't believe that corporations necessarily have the talent already hired to be able to bring solutions in there. They might, like people like yourself here on the call, don't have the right partners yet who can help them. And in that respect, the Agentic AI framework also serves as a platform for independent developers. And I'm not sure how far you already informed yourself about the platform. The idea here is really that the work of the developer is protected. Because when you follow Medium and similar publications, people give away a lot of good information. I think it's really helpful to see what people are doing and to learn fast. However, there will need to be an ecosystem where this intellectual property of the people can turn into a monetary benefit as well. At this moment, I believe excitement is driving a lot of this, but like with the App Store for Apple or for Samsung, I mean, the people who create these small solutions, these little helpers for your daily life, they are now want to monetize it. And I think exactly here also the Agentic Blue framework can help to bring these two worlds together. And I think that's also something from our end. I think we have to promote much more. So we also have more offerings for our partners, which they can bring to their customers as the solutions and opportunities are growing. And I think the other things I briefly touched on. Axel is very excited about the neuroscience piece of things, how to connect information and action like it's happening in our brain. But I think that's something where Axel is really specialized to talk about. So I leave that for another engagement where he's joining the call. And just for you to see and visualize how this framework is looking like, you have the little cloud in the middle. That's the Agentic AI BlueCallom cloud. It is connected to different LLMs, to different cloud solutions. It's at the same time connected to different manufacturers. It has different tiering in corporations with distributors, partners. So you can slice and dice it. You can take any organigram of a company, put it into the system. And with our management tools, you also can see how these individuals, how these business units adapt to the AI usage. So there's some data that is collected. And we talked about it yesterday. Getan was there. I think either him or Ann was raising the question how we will be in the position to also track AI activity outside of our platform. And I talked to Axel and our engineers in the follow-up already, and they gave me the clear message. It's not going to be easy to connect other AI usage solutions to have a one management dashboard. However, we believe that the setting of the BlueCallom framework can be in a way that these things can be connected and it can be tracked. So stay tuned as we are growing and developing in that space to also provide then the leadership a single source of truth where they can find the information how AI adaptation in the company is progressing. And with that, of course, also productivity gains and the benefits arise. And talking about productivity, you see in the middle our agentic spine, and that's another productivity lever going forward when you think about how we reuse information on the one side of the spine when it comes to prompts and creating APIs and all that good stuff. Because as we are building agents and multi-agent systems, solutions, we can reuse the information on the other side of the spine. So an entry prompt for a printing job, a prompt for a survey, all these prompts can be used multiple times in multiple systems. So you're not rewriting the code again and again. So in that respect, also the entire system is focused on being very productive and can be scaled easily. And I think that's also one piece of our approach. It has to be scalable and it should be only creating cost as you use it. I think today we got used to the SaaS approach. People have thousands of licenses for the different corporations, but we hardly have control on who is using it really and how we are overpaying. And I'm not quite sure anymore if it was the example of Johnson & Johnson or it was another company. They communicated that they have 20,000 ChatGPT licenses at this moment. And they have no idea how people are using it. And I think that's also something with our framework we want to bring to the companies, that they really only pay for use. And I think that's going to be also a game decider in that way. And Axel, at the time when he was working on Blue Roads, his second or third company, he was in competition with companies like Salesforce, with Oracle at the time, where they were really on the forefront of the SaaS system. And he believes that with the pay-for-use approach, again, he will be on the forefront, or BlueCallom will be on the forefront, and together with us, you as well. So very interesting and innovative approach to address the costing piece and productivity. The next one, please. So let's get to the products. We aim on delivering 14 ICP solutions, as we call them. They're focused across the entire value chain of companies. The first one that was live, I think, was Bank Cyro, the cost improvement, the cost income ratio optimizer for banks. That was a very specific request of one company, but it became something we have introduced to probably in the area of 10 private wealth banks now. And the basic of that solution was to understand what's happening in a company and how can that be improved. And in that respect, Transform was a follow-up product on Cyro, as it's providing a more holistic analysis of a company and helps identify the processes and the opportunities to reduce costs to be more competitive. And building on that competitive edge, we developed Disrupt, which actually was the reason for the incorporation of BlueCallom many years ago, 5 years ago, I think now, as Axel was always having in mind to bring innovative solutions to all companies in their own hands, because he was asked many times, how were you so successful in your career? What did you do differently? And he really tried to frame that complete innovation picture. There's also, I think, a innovation framework downloadable from our BlueCallom page. And that translated now into a multi-agent system with more than 100 prompts and elements who are really building towards that. And like you always say, what are the use cases? People are always curious. And I saw just Claude connected me on LinkedIn. So you probably also saw that I have a second hat being the CEO of a biotech. And we are very strong in the identification of a new medicine, but we are very incapable, or we don't have the resources when it comes to how to deliver the drug. So I was asking Axel if we can have a disrupt run for how the delivery systems for that drug should look like. And of course, benchmark everything being in the market. And I have to say, my scientists were very surprised and quite excited by what Disrupt came up with. We're still in the analysis phase, but makes me feel very positive about solution being now in the hands of T Oncology, but also that how things are working here at BlueCallom. Having worked with banks and in the healthcare space, compliance, of course, is a super important topic. And that was then the next step, how we developed Comply. I think the first level of Comply is focusing on the EU regulation for AI usage. And I give you a very quick glance afterwards. I'm not sure, Claude, if you ever have been on the platform. or Roberto?
Not yet, but I have seen it with Chiara.
Okay. And Roberto, have you been on the platform?
No, I never was yet.
Okay, perfect. Then it absolutely makes sense that I just spend a couple minutes to show you how the Comply demo is working. And then from a product perspective, the next one, also coming out of the transform space, transform solutions being internally focused, compete being more externally focused. So compete is really a competitive intelligence solution where we identify the gaps of our own company, how it compares to an external company. And the prototype is finished. The one, I think, big challenge there is Axel wants, or we want the tool to be available more or less for daily check-ins. But what does that mean? If you do repetitive check-ins, how things are changing in context of your competition, you have to be able to do deep search. So it's not good enough anymore to just scratch the information from the LLMs because they're quite static. You really have to have the deep search capability. But being an experienced IT person, Axel said, perfection is the death of bringing anything to the market. So let's have the framework to start with to allow people to a proper competitive intelligence analysis based on what is provided by the LLM. And that is available as we speak. But now we're working on the deep search capabilities to pick up signals either from social media posts or from hiring activities, or if the company is publicly listed, if there's any ad hoc stuff happening, which is interesting for us who wants to understand the competitive landscape. And the other one, which is work in progress, and that really has to do with our partners and people we're working with. We see there's a need for very quick turnarounds for more agentic solutions. And that's where Dino, our chief engineer, is now working on an agent factory, which will allow agents to be written by an agent. And then the final touch-ups, of course, come from the interaction with the partner or with the corporation who is asking for that. And that's something we're building now as well. Compete, I'm quite positive, will be ready by the end of the month and can be introduced then in the next partner product meeting. The agent factory, for me, that sounds really like rocket science beyond and above. But when I see where we came from 2 years ago and where we are today, maybe it's also something we finish before the summer. So fingers crossed, and we definitely will keep you in the loop on that. Then, of course, with GPT Blue and Agentic Blue, we have the strategic infrastructure to build all these products. Thank you, Chiara. And then, I already alluded a little bit to compete. Here you just see the way we are sharing the information on the product. What are the problems we are solving? So Compete is the first highly comprehensive and autonomous competition assessment AI. So it's really about competitive intelligence. It continuously observes competitors, market dynamics, and relevant technologies and trends. So it also can be then in the final version be used as a trend radar. And of course, it has to be consistent and bring the information permanently to the management for them to be capable to address their strategic needs and do the shifts and adaptations as needed. The unique selling points is definitely that in the final version, we have an ongoing market observation on a daily basis if needed. We have autonomous team involvement when changes are critical. So as the agent is running in the background, it can alert sales, marketing, finance, operations about what is changing in the environment. And you, have seen in the last 5, 6, 7 years how resilient supply chains are really very much needed. There's permanently something happening. If it's a big boat getting stuck in the Panama Canal or Suez Canal, sorry, I think Suez Canal it was, or if the Houthi are chasing boats and whatever, you have to redirect. That kind of things would be picked up very quickly. And I remember my times when I was the head of procurement. Once I had a very, very lucky coincidence that while I was on the treadmill on a Sunday morning in the fitness center, I saw the news that a German chemical company had an accident and burned down, and that there even was fatality. If that wouldn't have been passing me, Johnson & Johnson would have had impact on nearly $2 billion supply chain if we couldn't have secured the raw materials before others came in. And I think in that respect, you will see how that creates very quickly a lot of value for the companies using the Compete tool. And of course, it's not only about protecting, it's about becoming really a leader in your environment as you understand what your competitors are doing. And then the next one, I think that's very technical. You can have a detailed look at it, how the different agents do different things. This is also the light version here described. When Chiara is sending that out, I think that's something you can have a look at by yourself. Doesn't make sense to read through it step by step. The other one is comply. We briefly talked about the challenges to be aligned with the EU AI Compliance Act. Many companies also have challenges to adapt AI because they are not sure where they are getting themselves into. There's not a lot of understanding what it means when you do certain activities. And in that respect, of course, with BlueCallom Comply, you can do a very quick assessment of your internal processes, the usage of AI, and make sure that you are not over-designing your compliance systems. And of course, at the same time, that you're not getting trapped and be sued or even worse, pushed out of business as you did not see the blind spot. In the final version, also there will be a certificate which really gives you reassurance that you are covering all necessary elements. And if that's okay with you, I would quickly then change to the live system and explain a couple of small things around the platform as I am executing the agent. Does that work for you, Roberto, Claude, Ethan?
Perfect, thanks.
Okay.
So you take over, I stop presenting.
I think that would probably be necessary, yes. So. You tell me, Chiara, when you can see?
Yeah.
So you can see my platform?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So that's how it will look like when you log in. You have your personal profile environment, your home button. You will see here your referral code. I think that's something quite important. I think for Roberto or Claude, if you have not received the referral code yet from Chiara, I think that's something she can share with you. With that, you would be able to set up your personal page. It's, I think, mandatory to have a LinkedIn profile that can get connected because we want that really to be a commercial application. And probably LinkedIn is today the platform where most people being active in the commercial world are registered. If not, I think there is another path as well, which we can use through Google. However, pulling data from LinkedIn is probably the easiest. And just a little reminder with that referral code, if you share it within your team, with colleagues who are interested, you will get Callom coins yourself, which help you to do more on the platform without even needing to pay in the beginning before you really start engaging in full. And then here on the second part, you see the applications you have It can look slightly different when you start, as I have also development rights and do my own prompt and agent designs. You might have 1 or 2 tiles less to start with. The GPT Blue Studio is the environment where developers are working. Here you see the partner portal, my personal portal, and the action deck. And on your landing page, you also see some of the prompts you're using or some of the prompts you have been writing. And these are little helpers, which I said before, we have done them quite some time ago. They look a little bit maybe aged already at this moment. We probably have to spend some time updating them, but they still very much do the job when it comes, for example, to designing your prompts and agents. The prompt doctor can be a very helpful tool. The same is true with Carbon Expert and other products we have already on in the pool. But now we want to take a look into the comply piece. And you see here, when you go to the action deck, where you see all the work you have been doing, how often you have been running prompts, the productivity gains you receive from it, the feedbacks. So all of that is tracked and available on your personal visibility. And here then you have the flight deck. Oops, what did I do now?
So you don't have anything here because you don't have any ongoing projects. I think you need to go.
Yep, I just need to go to the demo versions here. We have here 3 demo versions available, so transform and disrupt as well. But we said we're having a quick look into the comply demo today. I think it's quite important for you to understand always how much coins will you spend. And you can see here, based on previous demo runs, 3,500 coins will be consumed by the system. If you are not willing to spend that amount of coins, of course, you can go back and look for a different solution. But I mean, the 3,500 coins, we're talking here about 10 to 20 cents in cost. So that's not really relevant. And with that, we are now here already in the entry stage of the agent. You can see here in the light version, we have 8 agents we will be moving through as we progress with the challenge. We have here in the beginning an agent definition variable. So there are different variables throughout the agent that are repetitive and they are referenced on each other, which are here predefined. As it is the demo version, there's nothing you have to do. And normally, also for users, these kind of fields would be already pre-filled, of course, because you want to have consistent high quality outcomes. So all these things have to be actually already autonomous, that you are not creating any hiccups in the quality. So let's do then the submit button here. And it will guide us now in a step-by-step process through the flow. You enter your name, chatbot assessment, and then that information is stored away. And in this case, you see this is a linear agent. We have also agents that are lateral and have loops built in. But as said, in the light demo versions, there are fewer complexity agents. So in which sector will the AI system be deployed? Let's say healthcare. And you see always on the bottom, you will get the response that the information you have shared is correct. Otherwise, if something would not be correct, you would stop here and you could restart. But as I'm okay with that, I submit again. So now the agent is running through the specific requirements which are necessary to understand the healthcare environment. Now the system is asking me, are users informed that they're interacting with an AI system? Of course, most corporations would say yes, because you want to create transparency, but just for the sake of getting more output, let's put here no. We keep it secret, we keep it not visible. What type of data does your AI system process? Let's say personal health data, which is kind of probably the worst there is. Nobody wants to reveal about their health condition to the broader public. Is it fully automated? No, we have human interaction. The nice thing also with these generative AI systems, even if you have spelling errors, you can see now it corrected here on the bottom. Immediately that was recognized that there was a typo on my end. And as we're here in the light version, he is already asking, is there anything else? No. Okay, we are ready to submit to do the risk assessment. In the full version, you would be able to upload information from the company as part of the information feed. You also could have a survey if there are multiple people working on your AI system with exposure to the outside or to business partners. And that survey input would be also built into the assessment. And then you will receive here an AI risk assessment report, which is also sent to your email. And with that, you can see here the severity level. Of course, the things we are talking about are in the healthcare with private health data, with no sharing. So that's a high-level challenge. And now we can generate also a recommendation assessment. What do I need to do after I know the things which are red flags? Of course, I want to also understand how can I overcome these red flags and trigger the necessary actions. And here you can see now what are the short-term, medium, long-term actions, what are the expected outcomes, and so on and so forth. And as mentioned, you can create certifications and everything going forward. Any questions from your end on this quick demo here?
Straightforward, thank you.
That's good to hear. But also, I mean, as Getan was in the call yesterday, we really appreciate feedback, challenges, because, I mean, that makes us only stronger and helps us to improve. But I think with these kind of tools, it's also something I can strongly recommend. Hands-on approach is where you learn the fastest. The user experience, one of the partners yesterday was quite clear on some things he didn't like. But the interesting thing was it was a lack in our documentation for him that to see that actually the solution was already built in. He just wasn't aware. So I think that kind of communication also helps us either to get better or for people to really understand the product better.
But one question maybe. Oh, sorry.
No.
One question is when you do this assessment, who did actually make sure that the outcome is really based on the EU Act? I mean,
the information is part of the data we feed into the system. So there's a permanent update on the legislation requirements that this is part of the assessment. And there we are not relying on the LLM. There we are relying on the real data.
Okay. So it's a bit different to set up. But the answers might still be somehow not fully, or the report might not fully be correct. So there is a legal implication.
Absolutely. I mean, we all talk about hallucination and the challenges. The systems are not yet perfect. However, if you have the report and you have the capability to read the report with the eyes of the legal implications, you might spot things you miss, but at the same time, it spares you to do the interviews and everything in the company to understand what's happening, because that is done consistently. We also look into the usage of comply in the area of reporting, for example, in the ESG space, environmental data. We had a lot of engagement with a company where it's about bringing in the data from the customer, so the partner's customer, and upload it and analyze it and make it ready for reporting. And admittingly, this is quite a challenge, as also this legislation is subject to change permanently. However, the feedback we received was that it saves a huge amount of time on the collecting piece and getting to an initial format, but the person who was doing it in the past can just do multiple of what the person was doing before, because there's the understanding. If I would be put with the tool in the position, probably I would run the risk that I overlook something the other person has in its mind. And that's also why Axel and we always say the solutions we are providing, they're not replacing people. They just make people faster and better, or faster and better, point, exclamation mark. The other thing is there's a company from Austria we are working with at the moment, and the gentleman also told us with Transform, it's a perfect tool for him to go very quickly in depth into the customer's environment. However, when it comes to the final execution and the fine-tuning of the solution, that's where his and his company's expertise comes into play, where they have their deep knowledge and analytical skills and solution space they bring to the company. And I think, therefore, wherever people are working in, our solutions are exactly on that intersection today. Will it progress? Yes. I mean, there will be more powerful systems. There will be more intelligence into the agent design and so on and so forth. But I think at the moment, it's fair to say that's the capability level where we are today.
Thank you. I fully agree. It's an augmentation. And it's also, I mean, the more experience you have in the domain, the more you will profit from these tools.
Exactly.
Thanks.
And that's, I mean, this is this stupid joke about two guys being on a hunt in Africa, and the one guy with the running shoes tells the other guy, I'm not afraid of lions because you are here with sandals and I will run faster. And he says, why? I mean, the lion will still be faster than you, but I will be faster than you with your sandals. And therefore the lion catches you. And I think that's the thing where we are with augmented intelligence. People being strong and good in their job will be accelerating their game, and people ignoring it or rejecting it will have challenges as we move forward, as productivity will increase. And yeah, I think there are a lot of things coming in our direction. Admittingly, being a father of two minors, I am also looking cautiously into in which direction should your career paths go? What are the areas where you get happiness from your work, but also have a perspective to succeed on the midterm at least? Will be interesting, but as I managed to turn from a chemist into the CEO of a biotech and advisory board of an AI company, I think we underestimate sometimes the adaptability and the capability of our brains in that environment. So be fearless. And now I am, oops.
You're sharing.
I'm sharing, but I am completely at the beginning because, okay. Oh, and exactly. So that was a quick live demo.
Maybe quickly for comply. So it's specific, like Claude said, asking about the EU AI Act. So it is specific to, it's built for the AI Act, but we're able, I mean, if a customer comes and says, oh, we need it for ESG or anything else, general compliance, it's no problem. We can customize it to that. So just a side note.
Absolutely. I would take the no problem in brackets because there are some compliance challenges I remember from my good old pharma times and my new pharma times, which are a little bit deeper than the AI Act, but definitely worthwhile looking into it, because when you see how these departments build up over the years, I mean, there's a huge opportunity to help people to make smart decisions again and not be overwhelmed by the multiple SOPs and legislation around them. So we look forward to the challenge to address these needs. I briefly touched on the Bank Cyro. It's probably not the most relevant product to this audience here, but as you will receive the slide deck, you can have a quick look at it. It was quite impressive, the feedback we got on it, and companies who are in the upper 80% range, they're really very grateful for the fast analysis they have received just from public domain information. And then, of course, based on the compliance challenges in the banking space, it was a second step when we got real data, or we discussed the data and they used the high-level data for their decision-making, as it was already quite deep. Transform, we briefly talked about it. I think it's really the tool that can be most used by our partners at this stage when they engage with companies where they look into productivity gains. It's the tool to understand the high complex situations in their environment through the survey, the engagement with the company, the upload of internal material. We are really in a very strong position to help companies how AI can help them to solve problems, how agents can be part of it, and to really exponentially improve their productivity. And that's something really where also with partners, we spend separate time on the specific solution to help them understand how they can use it. Disrupt is probably the, in a way, most powerful solution we have. It's the biggest agent built at this moment. However, we have to make sure to understand, if you say, I want to solve world hunger, which is really something admirable to do, it will not really deliver the solution for that kind. I mean, the space where the solutions are coming from is a little bit more narrow, and it has to be manageable and tangible in the company to be really executed. I think this is definitely the tool you should be talking about with Axel, because that's really his baby. Chiara already showed you this one here. We have the use cases and everything available. I'm not sure at this moment, Chiara, is it downloadable?
I believe so on the website.
Okay, so perfect.
I can also send it as a follow-up. Yeah. Well, thank you, Christian. Maybe just some upcoming trainings as well, as I was mentioning. So next Wednesday we have the second one, the product training. We'll go in depth in the product, specifically Transform, and then also the following week sales and support training. And then we have this afternoon a webinar on Transform as well. Yeah, at 5 p.m. So if you're free to join, or maybe some of you've already signed up, we'll look forward to seeing you there. I believe we'll also do a live demo of Transform. And then end of May, end of this month, we'll be in Düsseldorf exhibiting. We'll have a booth. It's going to be a great event. So if you have time to join us, we would be very happy to receive you.